From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo. The U.S. Coast Guard says the cargo ship that crashed into and collapsed a bridge in Baltimore this week underwent routine engine maintenance in port before the accident. The ship lost power and collided into a support pillar early Tuesday, causing the span to buckle into the river. Reporter Perry Russum says officials knew the bridge was vulnerable.
The NTSB says the bridge was in satisfactory condition before the collision, but its design was considered fracture critical. That's when one point of failure can cause an entire bridge to collapse. There are more than 17,000 fracture critical bridges in the U.S.
The disaster also closed the port, which is vital to Baltimore's shipping industry. Also yesterday came word that the bodies of 2 construction workers who plunged into the water have been recovered. 4 others are presumed dead. Experts are reconsidering their options on a rescue plan for the young killer whale trapped by the tide in a remote lagoon off northern Vancouver Island. Paul Cottrell, the marine mammal coordinator at the Fisheries Department, says they're thinking about changing tactics in efforts to convince the 2-year-old calf to leave the shallow lagoon.
We're looking at all contingencies and we're having those discussions. And as you can imagine, this is a very short time window we have. So we're having to look at all those options and think ahead.
He says they have not ruled out attempting to put the calf in a sling and lifting it back to the open ocean. The calf's mother died in that lagoon Saturday when the tide went out. The country's chief public health officer is urging Canadians to ensure their vaccinations are up to date as cases of measles are on the rise. The number of measles infections in the country this year is already more than 3 times higher than all infections recorded last year.
Dr. Teresa Tam says the Public Health Agency of Canada is aware of 40 confirmed cases across the country so far this year. She says she's concerned not enough school-aged children have been adequately vaccinated against the highly contagious virus. The timing of the doses varies by province and territory, but generally, kids get their first doses of measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine at 12 to 15 months of age and then a second dose before they start school. Lisa Laporte, The Canadian Press.
Canada's population growth rate last year was its highest in more than 60 years. StatsCan reporting the population grew by 3.2% in 2023, driven mainly by the temporary immigration component. Officials say most temporary residents come to Canada to work, when a significant number are international students coming to study. And there was no winner in last night's draw for another huge lottery jackpot in the U.S., meaning the Powerball grand prize climbs to $935 million for Saturday. The news came the night after one ticket bought in New Jersey matched the numbers drawn in Tuesday's Mega Millions lottery for a whopping $1.1 billion jackpot. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, Shane Pinto had a goal and 3 assists as the Ottawa Senators cruised to a 6-2 victory over Buffalo Wednesday night. The only other game saw Atlantic Division leading Boston lose to Tampa. The Professional Women's Hockey League is on an international break ahead of next week's Women's World Championship in Utica, New York. Canada's women are in Kingston, Ontario for a pre-tournament camp. Canada lost to the U.S. in last year's gold medal game in Brampton, Ontario. In basketball, the New York Knicks earned a lopsided 145-101 victory over the undermanned Toronto Raptors. The 44-point difference was Toronto's worst home loss in franchise history as they dropped their 12th game in a row. The Toronto Blue Jays open their Major League Baseball season this afternoon with a road game against the Tampa Bay Rays. Toronto's Jose Barrios starts on the mound against Tampa Bay's Zach Eflin. The Blue Jays play 10 road games before their home opener April 8th against Seattle. From the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.